Welcome everybody to a new Bandersnatch interview. I'm here with Julia Gentile from VILIVANT. How are you doing today?
I'm great, how are you?
Doing pretty good. So today we're discussing your new album coming out on March 10th, Running on Empty. How was this process for 3 years for you? Like, how was it like writing for 3 years, one single LP?
It was quite the journey, honestly, like looking back at it. Like I've stated in previous interviews, I started writing Running on Empty back in 2020 when the pandemic was kind of first starting. And quite frankly, at the time, we didn't really know what was going to happen, if live music was going to still be a thing. And like, I'm sure all musicians can relate to like the whole feeling of stuck. Like you don't really know what's going to go on. You don't know if the music industry is going to pick back up. So I wrote a song about feeling running on empty at that time because I quite frankly didn't know what was going to happen. And the whole album kind of touches on themes like that.
For sure. The pandemic was definitely an inspiration for any musicians. As a musician myself, I was in a band and we did write a lot of stuff during the pandemic. So what would you say is your favorite song out of the album? Like the song that you would recommend the most that like represents the album's message?
That's a good question. I think out of all the songs, if you haven't heard like the 2 singles that I released last year that are also on the album, Empty is the title track, which I released back in the summertime. That's a great representation of me. It's like hard, fast-paced, energetic. And also my last single that I released back in November, Drown, those 2 songs are a great representation.
Yeah, Drown has a very catchy chorus, definitely, and like I like how you used like very like interesting, like you changed your vocal tone in that song. I felt that it had like, because you want to have this feeling of drowning, and I feel like you've changed because I listened to the rest of the album. Great album, by the way. I have nothing wrong to say about it.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. And I feel like it's very interesting how not a lot of singers will change their tone just to fit with the theme of a song, and I felt that was something really interesting from your vocals in that song. So I observed in your sound, so in the band sound, there are definitely some metal influences. I was wondering, apart from bands such as Halestorm or 3 Days Grace, were there any metal or punks influence that you would like to state to people to tell me, like, because I was trying to figure out, because I felt there was definitely some Metallica influences in there, like in your sound. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that. Like for example, my song Comatose, that's probably what you're
very more trashier sound than punk sound.
Yeah. Very thrashy kind of song, and I wanted to write something like that in the album just to kind of like have a diverse sound throughout the album, like punk. There's some songs that are punk, some songs that are more like melodic, some songs are more metal, some songs are more like just straight up rock and roll.
For sure.
But Metallica, yeah, I mean, they're like, I definitely listen to Metallica, and I would say that they're an influence. I would also say that Deftones, I was listening to a lot of 9 Inch Nails and Filter when I was writing Drown, so that kind of like darkness of that song, kind of, I got that inspiration from those kinds of bands.
Alright, it's really interesting because I could definitely hear the Deftones sound in your music, and I just wanted to make sure before stating anything else, because there was a lot of chugging on that album, and like very like metal-ish chugging, so I was wondering like about your musicians, like, do they have like a metal background per se, or is it really just you guys had like already established that you guys wanted certain influences or not?
I mean, we all kind of listen to a bunch of different kinds of music. I know my guitar player, Matt Hatch, he likes a lot of Ghost. I think Ghost is one of his favorite bands, and he loves like Alter Bridge and Miles Kennedy and stuff like that. So I think he told me once that he got a lot of inspiration from Alter Bridge. My bass player, he listens to a bunch of different things. The same do I. Like, I listen to, like, I'm not, like, stuck in one genre. I like to, like, experiment with different kinds of subgenres of rock. So, it's great working with like-minded people in that sense, because we all kind of can relate to a specific style and, like, kind of feed off of each other's energy, and we kind of know what fits in each song.
Okay, that's good. That I feel like it's a good combination that you guys have different musical backgrounds, because it can create a certain synergy in the band to have various backgrounds.
For sure.
So, I did my research. You're a big sci-fi fan. I was wondering, who was your favorite sci-fi character and who was your favorite sci-fi creature? If it's both, like, one character, it can be fine. It's just I was really curious to hear you about that.
Okay, so I don't really have a specific character in mind, per se, but I do, like, obviously you'll probably already know this, but I do love aliens. Like, any type of, like, alien kind of looking creature, like Yoda from Star Wars, R2-D2, like, you know, I love Star Wars with my dad. He actually, it's one of his favorite, like, franchises, and he collects Star Wars stuff, he builds Legos, like, he's very much, like, the kid at heart dad. So I kind of got a lot of that from him. I watched Star Wars with him. I also love, like, Avatar and stuff like that. Like, any kind of, like, sci-fi creature, I don't know, something about it I just love. So the whole Ryan Empty music video, which I'm sure you probably watch, is, like, me being chased by an alien. So I kind of wanted to, even though the whole music video has, like, nothing to do with the actual song itself, I just kind of wanted to make a music video that was kind of fun and funny compared to, like, the more seriousness of the lyrics and, like, whatever of that song. So yeah, I love anything to do with, like, aliens.
Oh yeah, no, it's really interesting though, because the song definitely has a strong message. But how you contrast it with like this sci-fi imagery, it's really interesting. Because I saw you, like, with I think it was Baby Yoda plush, like, in one of your videos on Instagram. Really funny, you know, like, and it's, like, so cute because, like, my sister loves Grogu as well. Star Wars is definitely, like, a fan favorite of mine, and I'm a big sci-fi guy too.
Actually, I'm not video, but behind me I have a...
Oh my god. Oh, that's amazing. That's great. So I'm guessing your favorite sci-fi show is probably Star Wars, from what you're saying.
Star Wars, I love Stranger Things, actually. It's funny, because when I first got into it, I wasn't really digging the whole thing, but my friends are like, yeah, keep watching, it will get better, and I was like, okay. And I actually really like that show, and I'm excited for the new season that's coming. I don't know when it's going to come out. I'm excited for when they finally do release a new season. And I like apocalyptic stuff too. Like, I've been watching The Last of Us. I don't know if you've been watching that, based on the video game. So anything to do with, like, post-apocalyptic sci-fi type of thing, I'm totally into.
That's great. So these passions of yours, how do they influence your music? Or do you want to put more sci-fi in your music in the future? Or is it already something that you're implementing in your music?
I mean, I definitely touch on that stuff in the future for sure. I'm not going to totally disregard it after this album. It's a part of, like, who I am and what I like. I know I wrote a song that's not on the album. It's probably going to be a single at some point, but I wrote a song with my guitar player. And basically the song, the lyrical content, is just basically about a guy being abducted by aliens. It's, like, telling a story of that. And the whole, like, instrumental of that too is very, like, spooky and sci-fi-ish. Yeah. So you can say I'm definitely not going to steer away from the concept of that, but I'll probably implement a bunch of other things moving forward as well.
For sure. Like, because I was thinking of, like, bands such as Voivod, who play a lot on, like, I don't know if you know Voivod. It's a Quebec band. They use a lot of technological or, like, alien imagery in their band. Like, I don't know if it was something that you consider doing with VILIVANT in the future, but... that could be an idea. Like, I'm not sure if it's the direction you want to go with, but
I mean, yeah, I mean, I like to experiment with different things. Like, I would say out of all the bands out right now, I take a lot of inspiration on that front from Muse. Muse is like one of my favorite newer kind of bands out right now. Like, they have like a very cool sound. It's very space-like in some of their songs.
Yeah.
And I take a lot of their kind of work. No, I don't want to copy. I never copy people, but I take their work and kind of like take it and use it as, you know, ideas for like some of the stuff that I'm doing.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I would say Muse would be like the biggest inspiration when it comes to like a sci-fi kind of sound.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Muse is very interesting. One of my friends is going to their concert very soon. Speaking of concerts in Quebec, I've seen that you were going to play at Piranha Bar on April 15th with Astral Gates and Late Night Trouble. How do you feel about playing here in Quebec?
I feel great. I'm very excited. Like, the last time I went to Quebec was like, I think it was 8 years ago now.
Wow.
And so I'm excited to kind of visit and see how things have changed and like just, you know, introduce myself to you guys, you know, because I haven't played there before.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely. Spoiler alert. The metal scene and rock scene in Quebec, but a lot of will say that it's underground, but there is much love and appreciation for rock and metal here, and you're gonna have your mind blown because so my friends from False Gods, so it's one of the bands I created. I'm no more in that band. They played at the new concert venue at Piranha Bar because before it was like at the third floor, I believe, or second floor, and now it's in a basement. Beautiful stage, and it definitely fits the vibe of your band. Like, it's an underground stage, but I think you're gonna like it in Piranha Bar. It's a definitely nice venue. Are you excited to play with those bands?
Yeah, I mean, I heard great things about both of them. Both of them have released music for quite some time, and I love their music, and I'm just like happy to like be in a bill with them and that they agreed to to open up for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So also, like, I've seen that you guys like are still relatively a small band, but how do you feel like about having 134,000 streams for the single Running on Empty on Spotify? Like, that's a huge number for an underground band.
Yeah. I saw that it hit like 100,000. I was like, oh my god, people love the song. I thought, you know, I was trying my best to promote it, and same with Drown, which hasn't gotten a lot of streams compared to Running on Empty. But like, I'm just happy that people love it and that people are sharing it with people that love rock music, and it gives me hope that rock music isn't dead, that people like to say it's dead. It's not. It's definitely not. As you said, it's actually pretty strong now. I think like a lot of bands are coming up, and a lot of popular music is considered rock now. So
yeah, for sure. When you say rock, like, don't wanna get controversial here, but like, what do you think of artists such as Machine Gun Kelly, who won awards for like best rock artist or things like that?
I mean, I don't really have an opinion on it. I can't say that Machine Gun Kelly is someone that I listen to, but based on what I've heard before, like, I wouldn't consider it rock and roll, because rock and roll in my eyes is like not that. It's more like raw and like no auto-tune kind of thing. Whereas I think from what I've heard, a lot of his music has that like auto-tune, kind of like rap-ish, like, because he was a rapper before, yes. Right? So it doesn't resonate with me, but I can see why people would like it, I guess.
For sure. So going back to the album, so in 3 days the album is releasing. So what feelings are you feeling right now?
Oh my god, I'm so excited. It's been, again, like 3 years in the making, and from like people that I've showed, friends and family that are close to me, I, obviously let them listen to it, and they all love it. So I'm very excited for the public to finally hear it.
For sure. I listened to it, and it is a banger. Like, you got songs like Comatose, which definitely, like we talked about earlier, but just the opener, In My Life, has a very strong opening, and I love the Metallica-ish vibe to it. And also, don't want to spoil, of course, the album, but I like how the first song and the last song contrast each other, like musically. It's very like I love how your album has like a certain concept to it. Like, it goes very energetic, then it ends very slow but melodic.
Yeah.
It's a very nice touch that you did. Lastly, what would you say to people what reason would you say that people should listen to the LP?
I would say if you're a fan of hard rock music, like metal, or even like, I don't like to say new metal because people are always kind of like, when it comes to that term, but if you're a fan of like early 2000s rock, metal, whatever, or even like 80s metal, anything to do with like hard rock, you would definitely love it. And if you're a fan of like female powerhouses like Lizzie Hale or Taylor Momsen, or even like Amy Lee from Evanescence, then I would say that my album would definitely relate to you, and you would probably like it if you like those bands.
For sure. Like, when you say new metal, like, a lot of people think about like the early 2000s new metal bands like Linkin Park, but yeah. I feel like, although like I don't know if it was your intention, but I definitely saw like some melodies, guitar melodies. I don't know if it's your guitarist that decided to do that, but definitely that sounded very core-ish. I don't know if I'm right, but core, like very metalcore-ish kind of melodies. Metalcore, yeah.
You're actually the first one to say that,
yeah.
But I can definitely hear it in some songs for sure.
Like, not all the songs, but it's very interesting, though, the mix with rock and metalcore. It's nothing I've ever heard before. And I enjoyed it. It's not my cup of tea, rock. Personally, I'm more of a metal guy, but I definitely enjoyed it. It's a...
What's on in the album? I'm curious.
Yeah. I'd say, I remember, I'm reading on my notes, definitely A Bit in Drown. I remember even on Moving Forward, I think. Yeah, Moving Forward, metalcore guitar melodies, that's what I wrote. I saw like there were some really nice guitar melodies in that song. And yeah, it's Moving Forward, yeah, another banger on that album. Like, this song doesn't have any bad songs, in my opinion. It's like, it's very like, very homogenic and very like feels very natural, all the songs together kind of album. Like, because you did definitely have some albums which have some transitional songs that you feel like, it's kind of like, or filler songs, but in this case, this album doesn't have any of those songs. I feel it's very like all the songs kind of like help each other and like work together kind of thing. So that's why in my personal review I gave this album a 9 out of 10. Like, the one point I removed is just it's a bit less my style personally, but the rest, it's a perfect album in my opinion. It's very good. So guys, definitely check out on March 10th Running Out Empty on VILIVANT. My name is Nicolas Tremblay. I was interviewing Julia Gentile, singer of VILIVANT. Thank you for having this interview with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. And best of luck for future releases. And I hope the public likes the album.
Thank you so much. I hope so too.
Yeah. You have a great day. It was nice talking with you.
Nice talking to you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.